During this week's live, we talked again about the 3 characteristics to look for in a man when you're dating, and I will stick by these till the end of the end of the end of times. He must be a protector, a provider, and prioritizer in order to justify the investment you make in a man of your most valuable asset, i.e., your time, if you are a woman, and the most likelihood of that investment producing a return. Let's unpack it. First of all, I want you to understand that men have had this trait since the beginning of time. They are always protective of their family, providers for their family, and prioritize their family's well being, their wives, their children, above all else. Those are normal and successful men with normal and successful families. And what is happening these days is somehow we got convinced to drop the first two, right? Drop the protection and drop the provision. But what happens, we as women can never drop really in our heart being prioritized. If you don't believe me, think of all the relationships you had where you were not prioritized. You were not the most important thing in his life. The most important thing in his life was hanging out with his friends, his mother, his children, maybe that he had from other marriage, or even from the marriage with you, when you're always last and the kids are always first, when the priority of his work. Were you ever happy in those types of relationships when your needs for him came last, or they didn't even come in the top 2 or 3 things? The answer is you will never as a woman be happy if you're not being prioritized by the man that you're investing in and that you truly love. Now, the catch 22 here is that a man who doesn't feel that he needs to protect or provide for his woman does not have the automatic instinct to prioritize her. Because a man who's protecting and providing for a woman, that's his investment in the woman, will automatically prioritize that investment. But a man who is sort of your roommate, you're going with him 50-50, maybe you take pride in earning money, there's nothing wrong with that, and paying all for yourself for the satisfaction of other elements of your ego, and you don't like your protection that a man can offer you. And by protection these days, of course, we don't need protection like we did 500 years ago, but we need the protection of a man opening the door, a man putting an umbrella over our head when it's raining, sort of that protective element, that he's around you, that his masculine protective energy is that protective energy that your father would have offered you when you were growing up. That is what makes a woman feel safe. When you feel completely independent from him, financially and protection wise, but you still need this element of him prioritizing you, please understand that that's not a reasonable expectation to place on him, because he is now, a lot of him is now either in a masculine energy that doesn't care about you, or in an energy that cares about you but is feminine. Now, when a man is in a feminine energy, or is in a business partnership where you're 50% owner and he's 50% owner, what happens to his feminine energy is not the same feminine energy that women have. Women have a feminine receiving energy that is also nurturing, that is also giving, that is also creative. Men are missing the nurturing and the creative part. So when those guys are in their feminine energy, all that happens there is they are just in receive mode. And if you've ever been in this relationship where it's draining, where you're giving, and you keep asking him, can I have a hug? Why aren't you texting me? Why aren't you like, you're not receiving. He's the one who's receiving everything. And this is sort of the dynamic that has been created. Now, a lot of people who are critical of this provider theory are seeing it all wrong, because they're seeing it as, well, a man can only provide if he's a multimillionaire. That means she's a gold digger. She just wants to sit on the couch and do nothing all day and spend his money. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man's attitude towards his investment in the relationship, which is his resources. Now, a man's investment in the relationship is very different than a woman's investment in the relationship. A woman's investment is not replenishable. Her investment is her time, and if she bears children for him, her body. The man is not investing his body in the same way a woman would invest her body in a marriage. And if she's making this investment in him, his investment, which is his resources, have to match that idea of not of giving it everything the same way she's giving it everything, right? And even when he gives you all of his resources and everything, it's still not the same investment, because remember, your time is not replenishable. But if he spent $1 million on you, rest assured that as he goes on in age, he can make more and more money. This is what happens with money. Money is actually means not much, because money is always a replenishable resource. Now, note in my approach to this theory that a man always has to be the provider, there isn't an implication that a man has to be a multimillionaire. In fact, since the beginning of time, men provided at all levels of income. The farmer, the school teacher, the lawyer, the doctor, the factory worker, they all provided. Of course, the women had to choose them and understand that they would live within their means. Now, if you're a woman who knows your husband would earn 80,000, but you're also employable at 60,000, and you want to work because you want your family income to be higher so you can afford to buy a house, so you can afford a more luxurious lifestyle, then go ahead and work. But his attitude should still be as a provider, as in, if you hate your job, he's the guy who will tell you, quit it, don't worry about it, I got this, we can live within less, but I'm always here to take care of you. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying a provider. A woman will lose all her feminine energy, or the majority of it, the moment she feels that she needs to produce an income in order to sustain herself. So if her survival is threatened, right? This is like when a woman's on her own and she's working and she's paying all the bills. 90% she's in her masculine energy, understandable. And if she wants to be in her feminine energy, that has to be a conscious choice and a sort of a struggle against this hustle mentality and hustle nature. I gotta produce, I gotta bring home the bacon, right? Sometimes you have to, or you choose to, because you don't want to be involved with a man. But once you've chosen to be involved in the man, you should be able to relax in your feminine, nurturing, receiving energy, and his attitude should be, I got you and I got this. Now, if his attitude is not that, you may still want to go ahead with the relationship. I don't know why, but you may want to. Just understand, if he's going in with you on a 50-50 basis, or if he sees it as a temporary thing, as transaction, as a business partnership, you are his buddy, you are his partner, you are his best friend, you are his, the moment that happens, that protective side will be gone and that prioritizer side will be gone. And it doesn't need to, it's gone the next day, but it will be gone through time. So a lot of complaints from the women who are in 50-50 relationships, they never feel seen, and they ask themselves, how come, he does this, I do all these things, I'm great, I look good, I bring home money, I'm successful. Men will not prioritize you. You cannot expect them to, because all of a sudden they see you in a different role. They're not as complex as us. They're not really thinking about these things. They're just going instinctually. Instinctually, you are their partner. If you want to be seen, they got to be your provider. They got to want to be your provider. You got to relax more into it. In every relationship and situation you're in, assess the investment that a man is making on you. And do not be fooled if you meet a millionaire and his only investment in you is he's taking you on 5 vacations a year and he's buying you a couple of bags. Because if you don't have access to his real resources, his real money, his real commitment, and he has a lot of it, then these trinkets that he throws at you don't mean anything. He's not really providing for you. He's temporarily using you because he can afford to. Do not be in a situation with a millionaire for more than 6 months to a year without a real commitment, because you're not going to be able to replicate that lifestyle, and it's going to be painful when this ends. And if you're with a regular man, remember, he should be covering all of your basic needs. Even if you work, even if you have your own money, even if you take pride in earning money, he should be covering rent, mortgage, the household bills, food, all the necessity of the house, and everything else for you. You can pay for yourself if you love to do that.